just the fact that I get to make goofy videos that literally the goal is to make people laugh or make their day a little better. Like, that's always been my thing. Like, even from when I was young.
Beautiful. All right. We're going to do, have you seen the clap?
3, 2, 1.
we were not on the same.
3, 2, 1. That was clean.
What I love is on TikTok. Have you seen there's a meme where you and your partner or your friend, you close your eyes and just see if you can clap at the same time?
No. I've seen like the tortilla challenge.
I've not seen the tortilla challenge. Is that like the one chip? Oh, where you slap each other in the face with tortilla.
You fill your mouth with water.
Yeah, and you try and make each other laugh.
Yeah. I've seen that one, but I haven't done it yet. We were gonna do that, but then didn't. There's also, have you seen the one where you blindfold a couple people and then tie a water bottle to a fan?
I've not seen
and
this.
Then you have to like duck down when you think it's coming. And
oh,
then
if you don't
duck at the right time, you just get slapped in the face with the water bottle.
I've not seen.
It's hilarious.
Have you tried it?
No, but I need to.
So many memes, so much opportunity, so little time.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, because the one I've seen, it's like you close your eyes and try and clap at the same time. Jimmy, we were looking at each other. I had sustained eye contact as we produce syncopated.
I've got a little bit of brain lag, you know.
Yeah.
Just not the flight or anything. Just
just a few.
Just built in.
A few frames buffer.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I like that. Well, thanks so much for coming on today.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, we're gonna play. It's basically 36 questions to fall in love. Like, they've actually done this in previous studies, and previous participants actually have fallen in love.
So that's why you brought me here?
Well, you know, Ileana's right there, and Zach Vander's right over there. So
it's Alana, but
exactly. Think of this as we're starting the relationship,
just at the foundation.
Yeah, and for me, I really see this just as a framing device, an exercise for me to get to know you a little bit better as a human being. And we go and share some things about each other along the way. I think that just sounds fun, yeah?
100% down. And I get to know you better too.
Exactly. We get to connect as human beings.
Let's do it.
So the way this works, there's 3 levels. Level 1, level 2, level 3. We're going to do a few level 1 questions, like settle in a little bit, right? Then we'll go into level 2. And then we're going to go into level 3. Does that sound good?
Level 3. Goal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so
I'm down.
The way that the game starts, we're actually going to make sustained eye contact with the same way, you know, when we were trying to clap and we just totally missed, not on the same wavelength. We're going to start this by doing it again. And whoever looks away first or blinks is going to get asked the first question. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, eye contact, it's scary, but that's the whole point, right?
I feel like a lot of people, especially these days, actually struggle with eye contact, but I don't find much issue with it. But I do get watery eyes pretty easily, so that I might end up blinking.
So it's not an intimacy thing. It's just I have dry eyes.
Of course,
thing.
yeah.
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go.
I literally blinked out of habit. I like didn't even think about it. Can we do one more?
We'll do one more. I will say that's pretty funny.
I literally just I was like, okay, all I needed is look at him, and I forgot that I couldn't blink.
You really do have dry eyes. You weren't kidding.
Oh yeah, all right. It was bad. All right.
3, 2, 1.
Oh my God, they're already hurting. Okay. No.
All right.
Dude,
How did I see the first
on
question?
God, my eyes just
first of all, you have lovely eyes. They match your hair and your mustache. So there's sort of some nice like color toning going on here, right?
Just syncing it up, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
The genetics got me.
Are you an easy person where you feel like eye contact, no big deal, or?
Yeah, no, I've never really had too much problem with it. It's never been something that's awkward to me or weird. I notice it a lot too when I'm like talking with people in conversation. Like some people are just prone to like dart away like a lot. Right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just, I think it's like a comfortability thing or just like an awkwardness thing for some people. And for me, it's just never been too weird because I just don't think about it that much.
That's kind of beautiful. It means you're comfortable with yourself, how you look, and you're accepting of how other people look.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I grew up really shy of eye contact because I was really self-conscious, right? I'd be like, why would anyone want to talk with me? So like, oh my gosh, they're looking at me. Like, let me.
Yeah.
But it's nice to.
How did you get over it? Did it just naturally? Or?
The first half of my life, I didn't actually stare at people's eyes. I stared at their foreheads and their noses. It's
really?
like,
do you think they noticed?
Nobody noticed. Or if they did, could you imagine Jimmy walking up to someone and be like, "You're not looking at my eyes. You're looking at my nose." Like,
my eyes are up here.
Yeah,
Stop looking at the goods.
Yeah. Excuse you. They're right up here. So. Never.
Me put my stuff on mute. That's my bad.
Yeah. Never had an issue before with people noticing. And then, yeah, I think for the rest of my life, eventually, as I grew more comfortable in myself, like this is how I look. This is how you look. It's like, yeah, we can see each other as people. Yeah.
So I would love it.
All right. So level 1, I'm going to ask you first since you lost the eye staring contest.
I didn't realize how bad I am at staring contests these days.
I do
have
seconds.
really sensitive eyes. There was a time when I was, it was like 5 years ago, I was driving in my car and my AC was broken. It's a hot summer day. Had to have the windows down. My eyes started watering, and when they water, they like hurt. It's weird. I don't know why. And it got so bad that I had to pull over because I didn't have cold air. The hot air was just ruining my eyes. And I walked into a CVS, eyes just completely red,
just looking like a Uchicho right there.
And then
Sharingan's coming
I asked him,
out.
I was like, "Do you guys?" I didn't have I don't think I had any money on my debit card, and so I was like, "Do you guys have any sample eye drops?" And they must have thought I was high as a kite.
Also, I love you asking for sample drops. You're just gonna try it and then you're gonna buy it. Yeah,
just got to know if it works,
Yeah.
But no, I wanted to get to class, but I couldn't because my eyes were literally that bad.
You physically could not see.
No, because they would just water up, and the more they would water, the more they would hurt, and it was like this continuous cycle. It was bad.
So you have sensitive senses, eyes. Do you feel like you're especially keen hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling?
I think my eyes are probably maybe the most keen sense that I have. I have really good vision, but they're also really sensitive. Every time, I hate waking up in the morning because my eyes always hurt. I don't know. I've never found an eye drop or a diet thing that has worked to help my eyes not hurt in the morning.
I hate Jimmy, this isn't typical. My eyes do not hurt when I just wake up in the morning.
I've asked optometrists, and they're like, "Oh, well, try to put your phone screen away at night or whatever." And it's like, well, yeah, but I've had this issue since I was literally 13.
So you literally just wake into a life of sustained pain. Upon entering the real world, you just suffer.
Becoming conscious hurts. But it goes away after 20 minutes of being awake, but it's hard to get me out of bed.
Okay,
it's
20 minutes is very long. 2, this is some anime level, like Kakashi or that guy from Jujutsu Kaisen.
I need that.
Your eyes are too powerful.
I need that.
You need to cover them so they adjust to the real world.
It is what it is.
I'm so impressed right now. So actually on that topic,
okay,
here's the question for you. I'm going to ask this to you, right? So it's what subject do you think I thrived in at school? Did I fail any? So I'm going to ask this. So first answer this for me. What subject do you think I thrived in at school? And then I'm going to answer this for you.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think you seem like a deep person. So I want to say that maybe you've got an appreciation for history and learning from mistakes. I think you did well in history.
Wow. I'm so flattered. I loved history.
Great.
And I feel like that Bo Burnham song, #deep. It's I think deep thoughts. But I'm very
You're well spoken, and with playing something like this for a podcast, you want to get to know people.
Yes. For me, this is really just framing I'm getting to know you. So
yeah.
I absolutely loved history. And in fact, growing up when I went to school, I wanted to study the liberal arts. I wanted to do the humanities, English and psychology and history. And it's so funny because, I have Asian parents, right? And I was fortunate and privileged where they were supporting my college career, and they were just yeah, have you studied this stuff? Yeah, no, you're on your own.
Damn.
But you captured, that's what I like, right? There's a saying, I think it's from Mark Twain. I might be making this up. He said, history never repeats itself, but it does rhyme. Right. And I think for me,
I like that. I've never heard that. I like that.
Yeah. It's in the course of trying to figure out how do I live my life. let me look at the dumb motherfuckers who came before me. Like, did they do anything wrong that I can learn from? And inevitably, I ended up repeating whatever mistakes I might have learned. All the biographies I've read, none of it matters, but I like to think that I'm learning something. So.
Yeah. I mean, you see all the warning signs in life and you still want to see what that path looks like.
Oh, yeah. The spirit of inquiry. You never know. So for yourself, I'm going to try and guess.
Oh, wait. I didn't say if you failed
do you think
any.
I failed any?
I want to say maybe you failed science.
Not bad. Actually, in college, I did get a C- in an intro to computer science course.
Okay.
I'm very ashamed. It was pretty awful. And so basically what happened was the final course was like worth 60% of your grade.
Dude, I hate when they do that. 60?
60. It's very weighted. And honestly, Jimmy, I was just super depressed. And so I didn't turn in my final project.
As it happens.
Yeah, as it happens. And so I guess technically that's not like failing, but I'd say, whales rise up to sea level. That's all you need. CCAT degrees. That's a little C-. I was a little below. It didn't quite cut it. So
better than a lot of my high school and college career.
Oh yeah,
didn't go well.
Oh no. Well, okay. Now, okay. I'm gonna assume that for you, the subjects you enjoyed the most were. I'm gonna guess also around the humanities. Am I right?
Humanities has to do with I'm assuming art is in that category.
Yeah, like basically I think of it as there's like humanities, which is like English, art, and then there's like science and math.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. English and art were my favorites, yeah.
Nailed it.
Then science and math. Ooh. Not my favorite.
So I feel like Jimmy, the reason why we're able to like both accurately guess is like, look what we're doing for a living today.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you create content, you help others feel entertained or inspired by you on camera, bring a little bit of something into their lives, right?
That's the goal.
And for me, I've always aspired to do that. What I do now, it's my way of being in this world. So I guess it's not a shocking surprise.
Not at all.
Otherwise, this would be like the doctor podcast for both doctors. And it's like, I wonder what you liked to study growing up. So,
yeah.
But if you, in school, like out of when you were younger, all the books you read or all the shows you watched or the games you played, any of that like really resonated with you? Where you're just like, yeah, this helped make Jimmy who I am today.
I think a lot of like cartoons that I watched growing up, especially when I was young, I was like a goofball, hyperactive class clown type. And it was only, fueled by the shows that I watched, like Ed, and Eddie, Codename Kids Next Door, Foster's Home for Imaginary
You were a
Friends.
Cartoon Network.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I liked Nickelodeon. Like, I love SpongeBob and everything, but I was always kind of more of a Cartoon Network
Cartoon
fanboy.
Network.
Mm-hmm.
I really, I was looking back on Kids Next Door, and it's a little sad because, like, I don't know if you remember the whole premise, but eventually you grow up.
Yeah. No, I remember there were some episodes where, like when you're a kid watching it and you get hit with that premise, like, oh, once you hit this birthday, you're like kicked out of the kids next door. I was like, that's rough. Like, they don't want to do that. They want to stay kids forever. Like, why can't they do that? And it's just like, damn.
It's especially scary because, like, not only do you have to leave the kids next door, you don't even remember. You become an enemy.
Yeah.
You actually become that against which you fought against previously.
Yeah. It's an insane concept that the writers brought in, and I don't think a lot of kids like really understood exactly what that might feel like or mean, like maybe a little bit, but it's kind of heavy.
Wait, so young Jimmy, kid Jimmy, if you could look at who you are today, how do you think you would react?
I think I'd be pretty stoked.
Yeah, I mean, what's that?
Just the fact that I get to make goofy videos that literally the goal is to make people laugh or make their day a little better. Like, that's always been my thing. Like, even from when I was young, like, first thing I wanted to do was like, oh, I want to be a teacher because some of my teachers are so cool and they help me feel like, I'm going to do so well in life, or I just wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And then I transferred from that to me doing, do I want to do something on screen? Do I want to do acting? Never really pursued that much. And then I wanted to do art. And so it was always kind of a creative outlet that I sought after with a bit of like helping people or making people happy. So everything kind of culminated, and I landed, I think, right where I should be with what I wanted, especially as a kid.
So. That is so wholesome too. I just realized you actually have a SpongeBob SquarePants shirt. So you have successfully stayed true to your roots. Yeah. You mentioned part of you always wanted to bring a little bit of joy into people's lives. Do you like what prompted that in you? Do you remember like what was the first joke you ever remember telling? The first time you remember being like, wow, people are laughing because of something I said. That feels good.
I can't pinpoint anything when I was super young. I mean, I would always like maybe quote shows or things like that. But I remember there was this one year, I think I was in 8th grade, and I went to a summer camp with my church, and I think we like met up with a couple other churches there. So there was like basically different
Church-a-palooza.
Yeah. And so it was this huge event. It was summer. There's all these fun games and stuff. And I, for some reason, decided, okay, for this entire trip, I'm going to wear a Pikachu hat that I bought from Anime Expo. Nice. And it's not just like a hat like this. It was one of those ones that's like fluffy, and it's got Pikachu ears coming off and little straps coming down that you can strap. So like,
it's like aggressively Pikachu.
Very aggressively Pikachu. And I wore it the entire time. And during the entire thing, I was like kind of loud and goofy, but like people were, as far as I could tell, pretty receptive to it. I remember somebody actually, back when Facebook was a little more popular with the younger audience, somebody made a Facebook page. They didn't know who I was, but it was like the kid who wore the Pikachu hat at church camp. They like made a page dedicated to me.
Like they didn't even know who you were. They didn't even know your name. Just
and there wasn't anything they wanted to do with it. They were just like, "Hey guys, remember this dude? Well, I made a page for him, and you know, you can go follow it or whatever." And so I think that was like,
wait, Jimmy, you were a meme.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was the first time you were a meme. This is a big deal.
I know, right? I was always a little bit, I wouldn't say like attention seeking, but always kind of wanted to be in the spotlight or just like give people a laugh. You know, I would pull pranks at school all the time. I'd like put my phone in the ceiling panels and then like have my friends call it. Just really goofy stuff like that. And so I've always been in that realm.
I'm just still struck by the concept that like they literally made a Facebook group about you. That is like actually just memehood right there at like such a young age.
It was a wild time, and you know, back then, you know, I didn't even think about those things. I just did them because it was fun.
Yeah, it's natural.
It's interesting that, you know, the world has kind of evolved around like, oh, social media is now like, if you're going to do it, you need to try to be successful with it. When I was younger, it was just like, I just do things to do them, and whatever makes sense. And if it sticks with people, it sticks. But now it's like, there's got to be a lot of purpose behind almost everything, even just casually. It's a bit more of a rough terrain, but
like, how does that feel? Like, because you said before you just did it for fun, but like now, like you do it because you enjoy it. It's also like your career.
Yeah, there's a lot to it that's really still just genuine. Yeah, I love this, but there's also that weight of like, okay, I need to do this, and I basically need it to do decently well. And there's expectations and pressure. But at the end of the day, it's still really fun. And still, you know, wake up and think like, damn, there's really nothing else I'd rather be doing. I hope I can do this for as long as possible.
I get that
kind of thing.
I remember reading, there's a study where they looked at like motivation, right? Just like, how does a human being like want to do something? And there are like certain passions where we're just like internally motivated, and there are ones where we're like externally motivated. And they found that like, obviously, if you do what you actually want to do, that's just a recipe for happiness. But as soon as you start to introduce external motivations, sometimes that internal motivation gets affected. Yeah. Because it's like, hey, I was just doing this for the love of the game. And now, like there's other reasons. And like, again, I mentioned to you, I was at the Ludwig Smash Invitational, right? I grew up on Super Smash Brothers Melee. It helped me make my first friends. It was like the first thing where I was able to find kids around the neighborhood, like, let's do this together. Yeah. And part of the reason why I got good at it was because I wanted to be good enough to keep playing with people. It was very pure. Or pure in the sense that like, I just wanted to do this so I can enjoy it and have friends.
You just wanted to keep playing. You just wanted to kick
ass. Exactly, right? And then when I was at the Smash Invitational, I was playing with a couple people, And like, it wasn't just fun. We were also like talking business at the same time, right? It's like, oh yeah, like let's play. Like, by the way, like what are you doing for like your accounting finance setup? Like, we're just shooting shop.
You gotta do it these days. It's just,
I know.
It's a necessary evil, but it's also kind of like, it's kind of cool that you get to do that, go play the game that you loved when you were younger and you still love now, and then seamlessly integrated into your business.
What a great framing. So when I was going to say, I just felt a little weird, but you're right. Part of weird can be good.
Yeah.
All of us who grew up watching SpongeBob and Connect Store and playing Sonic Adventure Battle 2, we're now old enough to also be friends, but do business with each other.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that's coolest about the space that we're in.
Yeah.
It's almost everyone that's either a live streamer or a YouTuber has kind of grown up at least in a similar sphere, unless they just happen to stumble upon it.
Which happens,
randomly,
but it's rare.
Yeah, it's very rare. So a lot of people that we interact with, there's like a 90% chance they love at least one thing we grew up with. So
actually, like Jimmy, even you and I are getting to know each other, and I think we already know there's like this shared base of like cultural understanding that we grew up on.
Yeah.
It's like already very clear just from the references. And I just think, I guess to your point, that is cool because like I grew up with, parents being like, oh, like one day you're going to have to get like a real job, right? Like you can't just like play video games. And it's like, actually, no, like this.
Psych.
Yeah, psych. This matters. So.
Yeah. No, I fought tooth and nail with mostly my stepdad on how much screen time I could have and things like that. And I'm sure most kids had, the tug of war of, oh no, like, come on, like I got to play this game my friends are on, or, Joey's mom lets him play 4 hours.
Like, go live with Joey's mom if you want to.
Yeah, right. But it's like this industry is so new, you can't really blame the parents. But at the same time, like, damn, if we knew what we know now, it's like, oh, I would have played more games.
No, see, I was thinking the same way. It's like I didn't need to like go study math. I just wish I gotten better at Super Smash Brothers Melee. Have you ever had a moment where you've gone back to your stepdad and you're like, FYI, like this is like what I do now for a living. So it was very relevant.
He's not really in the picture much more, but I think he kind of got like a glimpse when I first started gaining traction of like, oh, like great. I mean, at the end of the day, to his credit, I think he just wanted me to be successful, like all parents or even step parents generally do. But the paths have split much more these days. It is not just like 1, 2, or 3. It is, the sky's the limit with what you can make money on.
I had one, I love that. 2, I had a similar experience. So I like at one point so before I started this company, Carrot, working in the creator industry, I like told my dad what I wanted to do, right? And before starting Carrot, I had a very traditional life, Jimmy. Like I wanted to do these things and I was afraid. Like I went to Harvard, I worked in investment banking, I worked at Facebook. These are very like check the box, like like white picket fence type things.
Like really exciting and good stuff, but
not where
your heart was.
Not what I wanted to do. And I was actually really getting miserable. And so I just quit my job at Instagram and like started doing therapy, and it came to all these realizations like I have to find something in this space I actually care about.
Yeah.
And, I went to, I kind of knew my parents wouldn't love it, but I did tell my dad, like, this is the play. Like, I'm going to, like, go build financial products for, like, streamers. Like, I'm going to be, like, an accountant for YouTubers. And he was just like, what, WTF? Like, this isn't a thing? And I think, to your point, at the end of the day, like, everything's just so different. It's like, it doesn't even matter, right? I talk to people in the older generation, they don't get it, but, like, this is our generation now.
Yeah. I think some of the older generation doesn't even realize not only how much money is in this field, like, in this scene.
Millions of people watch you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. It's still wild to me. Yeah, but not even that. Just like how much potential, especially with like TikTok taking over, how much potential social media from like giving power to smaller influencers really has to like shape the future of entertainment. Like Hollywood will probably continue on and
always
kick ass for a long time, but especially with you've got people like Ludwig doing these huge events that are rivaling like TV numbers and stuff like that. It's kind of like shocking to see how much potential it really has.
So one thing you said that's really interesting. I have talked to a number of different creators, and it's sort of like, because this is so new, there's so many different places you can take it, right? Ludwig has expressed on stream he doesn't want to create content forever explicitly. He doesn't think he can. He really wants to go into these events, into off-brand, because that's where he sees the future. I know creators, for them, the end game actually is to get into Hollywood. I also know creators for whom the future is actually, no, I want to build a business, like a brand around my content. And I've met creators who, I want to build a business that has nothing to do with content creation, like real estate, right? And so all of those, like, oh, like creator events, like going into Hollywood, like creator business, just like totally separate business. And I've met creators who are just like, no, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, like every single day. Yeah. What do you feel like for you when you think of your dream, your vision, right? What are you thinking about what you want to hit?
I think the last couple of years, it's been kind of evolving. I think for a while, I just wanted to do straight up content for as long as I could. And then my vision was that, okay, I'm gonna do this for as long as it makes sense. And then at some point, if either I feel like I want to retract, or maybe my relevance is just kind of slowly but surely falling off, as it does to lots of people. You know, it's almost, I can't think of more than 10 people off the top of my head who have stayed relevant for like highly relevant for like 10 years.
Markiplier, PewDiePie,
People can do it, but is it, you can't plan for that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, you know, like whenever it makes sense for me, I'll draw back and I'll use everything I've learned and I'll go join up on a company, and I'll maybe be, you know, do like a talent, what's it called? I can't think of the word, but like join like maybe like an agency and help talent
like a manager
up and coming.
Thing.
Yeah, up and coming talent.
Yeah.
Teach them everything that I've learned and help other people coming back to help build their careers, and, you know, use my entire career kind of as a platform to stand on, to say, hey, I did a lot of things, made a lot of mistakes, did a lot of things right, had my fair share of success. Let me pass on whatever I know. And obviously I'm not like, you know, I don't know everything in the space, and I haven't had the most success compared to some, but I think, you know, experience is experience.
First of all, you were very humble. Second, millions of people watch you. Third of all, Jimmy, there's going to be a generation of people where they're going to have a podcast 30 years from now, and instead of talking about like Sonic and like Kids Next Door, you'll be like, yeah, remember like JimmyHere and like the memes and content he would make? Yeah, I remember that. And they're going to be talking about you the same way we're talking about this.
I mean, one of the biggest things that's wild to me is I asked my Twitch chat once. I was like, guys, just like I would come to school and talk to my friends when I was in middle school and high school about, like, you know, the newest WoW expansion that just got announced, or the newest episode of the show, and we would meet together. I was like, do any of you guys come to school on Thursday after I upload on Wednesday and say, did you see the meme that made Jimmy laugh? Or did you see, you know, this or that with Jimmy's channel? And a lot of people were like, yes, I literally do that. Or I'll have people like tweet me and be like, me and my girlfriend finally met up for the first time, and we can finally watch JimmyHere in person together rather than on a call. And I'm like, what the hell? People like actually have these like formative experiences with me, with my content, and it's going to be something they remember. And that's honestly just like, that puts a huge smile on my face. It's so cool to have.
That's incredible. You were literally bringing people together. They are coming together and talking about their experiences with you as a way to connect with each other.
Yeah, it's cool. That's
pretty. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, let's do a question. That's a lot for like question one. I think we're ready for level 2. You want to pull out a level 2 card?
Yeah. Just like,
just go for it. Random. Chat, this is not pre-selected.
Let fate decide. And then, am I reading this?
Oh, that for some reason that's level 1. I clearly didn't sort them correctly.
Okay. All right. Is this level 2?
That's level 2. Yeah, just read it out to me.
We might have already kind of gone over this.
Yeah.
So it might want to pick another one. But it says, what is a dream you've let go of? So I know that you kind of. I mean, I could dive into my end of that, but you kind of...
This is a good one.
It's a good one.
So this is different from the dream that you have. It's the dream you've let go of, that you've surrendered.
Yeah.
What's that for you?
I wanted to be in either the animation field or the gaming sphere. Video games, obviously, huge part of my life. I have a World of Warcraft tattoo.
Oh, that is cool.
I grew up on it, so I've always been, the creative type. So I was like, I used to draw all the time too. I actually went to a few different colleges for art just to see what I liked, and never really went anywhere. A lot of it was because of my academic struggles, and just keeping up was always really hard for me. But then I ended up realizing, like, I don't think I have the patience to develop this skill set that is required to work on these high-end games, like 3D modeling. Like, you need to work on that for years before you can provide anything of value to these big companies, or even smaller companies. And so I could have pursued it, but it was just overwhelming. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and it was really hard to I guess let that go, especially because I didn't really have a fallback. This was before my dive into social media, really. Like, I had done a little bit of live streaming, experienced a mild amount of success, but the area that I was in my life, I didn't have the time for that.
Yeah.
And so to leave school was really daunting, because I was literally at a point where I was like, well, now that I've pulled from this, like, what's next? I had to literally start thinking, like, okay, am I going to go get like a business degree? Do I need to kind of like go back to one of those main paths? And I kind of almost did. And in another universe, I might have, but then I kind of got a little lucky, worked a little hard, and started building my social media stuff. So it's a scary thought, really, to think that I could be doing something that would be a lot more soul draining than what I'm doing now, because my previous job definitely did not make me happy. So,
wow.
Yeah. I actually worked with my brother at a anti-aging skincare startup, which is now that company's doing really well.
Okay.
We were in a small little office with a little garage in the back thing, and now they have a giant facility, and I probably could have grown with that.
Sure.
Might have been exciting, but it was making me a very unhappy version of myself.
Yeah, it's not what you wanted to do.
Right.
I feel like that really resonated with me. I feel like there's this constant tension we come into this world, and it's like, here are the things that like you want to do. And then traditionally the world has come and said, okay, and here's like the circle of things that you can do to support yourself as a human being. And like, good luck trying to find the overlap, right? Where, you're going to maybe just have to have what you like to do as a hobby, because it's not going to be something you can actually support yourself with. And I feel like part of that is, we sort of touched upon it, like previous generations having different conceptions of how the world works. I think part of it, like you mentioned, right? Like, hey, you were having trouble in school. And to me, I see that as like an indictment of the education system. Like, what a sad occurrence that you clearly have so much creative storytelling power in you. Like, there's nothing that's a better testament than kids literally talking about you when they come into school. And they're like, did you just see the last JimmyHere video? And to think that they have arbitrarily said, oh no, but like, it doesn't matter if you're good at that. Like, you need to be good at like calculus.
Right.
Like, that's what you need to be good at in order to get to do these other things. Like that's just sad. And it makes me think of all like the wasted potential and opportunities. And that's why I similarly feel very moved that you found another way to carry on that dream of, hey, this is still a way for me to get to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's kind of incredible, man.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And yeah, with what you said about the education system, like it's really silly to me that you'll go through school, and you'll have basically everything kind of lined up for you, and then there's kids that show potential in all these different areas, but you can't expect the teachers to kind of like see that and foster that and care for that. So me and my 2 or 3 buddies in, I think, our junior and senior year of high school, we even though we didn't have any good cameras and stuff, we found a camera and we just started making short skits and little films. Wow. And our teachers were letting us, thank you for them. They were letting us do like our projects by making like videos for me, even though it was outside of like what we were supposed to do. They were really kind and would be like, yeah, as long as you guys have some subject material for this project in a video, you guys can goof around and do your thing. And as long as I feel like you've learned the stuff, like I'll accept that as basically some of your homework. And so we did that for a few things. And a lot of the kids in the school like loved watching our little skits that we would do because we were goofs.
Yeah, but you got to make something and you got to have people watch it.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's like, as an adult looking back, it's like I didn't have any teachers or any like academic advisors notice that and be like, hey, you guys love this. Why don't you guys go apply to film school or some kind of creative thing? It was always just like, where do you want to go to college and what degree are you going to get? And, my mom was always supportive. So she was like, yeah, if you want to go get an art degree, go get an art degree. Yeah. And I was like, cool, I think that's what I want to do. But like, I didn't really have somebody that was there to be like, I see this creativeness. I see what you're doing. Yeah. Why don't you try exploring these different areas? And luckily, I found my way back to it. But it was that's one of the things that is kind of just sad about the general school experience is you're kind of suppressed almost with what makes you happy or what you excel in naturally, and it's kind of a bummer, but I think everyone kind of finds their way. Some people maybe not so much, but it's just how it is.
Well, that's why I think it's so powerful that you mentioned you want to be a coach, a mentor, to help be there for others as you didn't feel yourself in that moment.
Yeah.
Because you have figured out a way to do this anyways, and it was hard. I heard you just say, like, you were at this startup skincare job and, like, not happy. Yeah. Like, also, like, this whole generation, maybe these younger generations, maybe they're different. I know, like, 18, 19-year-olds who have, like, millions of followers in their channels. But, like, for you, it's not like social media was like, oh, yeah, like, let me just, like, become a social media creator and influencer. Like, sure, I'll just do that.
Viners were barely a thing when I went viral on Vine. It was, YouTubers was starting to become more of a thing, and you could see that, these people are making careers out of it.
But
it
was kind of a thing.
It was still pretty fresh. Yeah. And so, but you could see the gears were always turning. I would come home, from a long day at work and be like, I want to make a Vine. I just want to goof around, and there was no like strings attached. There was no expectations. I was just, it was me.
So early.
It was just me goofing around, and so that's one thing that I kind of am glad that I still I'm glad I still kept that part of me.
Yeah.
Because if I had just settled, done my thing,
never would have.
Came home and I'm gonna play games and watch TV and just vibe. But no, I was like, I want to still do something creative because it was like that itch. I still wanted to do it, and it turned out blossoming into something really awesome.
I think that creative energy, that is the most precious part of being a human that I want to, for myself, try and preserve as long as possible. That feeling of just wanting to do something. And I think, again, to your point on the fact that you were making short skits on video as a high school kid, that's an outlier. That's remarkable. Most kids don't do that, right?
Yeah.
And it's scary to think that I think in this world, and it's beginning to change, a lot of times it's the system almost stamps it out of you because it's so focused on not the spirit of education, which is giving you the time and resources to explore what you want to do, but on the strictly worded, hit these test scores, check off these boxes.
Yeah.
In a way, ironically destroying the very motivation that it was meant to support.
Yeah. It's very, very cookie cutter, and it's very formulaic, which humans, for the most part, aren't. And it makes sense why it is the way it is, but makes you wish or hope that the future of education becomes a little more, you can move it around a bit. You can take a piece up here, move it over here, or replace some, math course with some, acting course.
Well, that's also the beauty of all these platforms now, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Look, they have their problems. But what they made it easier was if you make content and people find it funny or they appreciate it and they learn from it, it's going to blow you up. It's going to be hard. There's a lot of luck involved. But this is now a thing.
Yeah.
And that's in a way a much purer distillation than go and convince the 3 people in Hollywood that you get to do this. And I think it's only going to get easier. This is what you said about TikTok.
Yeah.
easier than ever now for people to find something that other people appreciate.
Anyone
and
can
start
be
watching.
seen.
Yep, that's kind of huge. And yeah, one day, like I said, 30 years from now, there's gonna be a podcast fan. I was like, yeah, I was like watching Jimmy, and I saw what he did, and I was like, I want to do that one day.
As much as it is really exciting,
Yeah.
the TikTok and it's so easy to be seen, it's also kind of daunting.
Yeah.
In a couple ways. I think starting new is like, okay, you are now an even tinier fish in a gigantic pond of everyone bigger. Wanting to be seen. So that's kind of spooky. But then also, you know, you've got, I think, you know, in school, I can't imagine kids. You've got a kid who's like, oh yeah, I've got 100,000 on TikTok, and this other kid's sitting here. He's like, well, I've made 5, and you know, I have 50 followers, and he's sitting there like, there's so much extra pressure now.
Yeah,
which it's also exciting, but it's also, I think, probably scary.
Okay, a few thoughts. Like for you, like how did you handle this? Because you too, once upon a time, had no followers.
Yeah. My initial foot in the water was interesting. There was an app called iFunny, which is just kind of like a meme wasteland now. And it was never really a great app. Sure. But you know, if you want to see memes, popped on iFunny.
Yeah.
You could see some memes. I started posting League of Legends stuff. Just memes of League of Legends.
Nice.
And then when I started to get like a little bit of following, because people were like, oh, you know,
he's funny.
I like League, I'll follow this guy. Then I started doing more like creative stuff where like other League of Legends accounts that were based on like champions, it's kind of cringy, and it really is. We would do like rap battles in character where we would just make a post calling out one of the other accounts with a rap and then expect them to reply. And it's really dorky, but it was fun. And so people started to follow. And then I started integrating that with, hey guys, you're following me for League? Well, I've started live streaming League. Yeah. And then I would start to get a few viewers here and there. And then I started doing little tournaments. And I actually, at one point back in, I think 2012, I was getting over 100 viewers on Twitch, which was pretty decent.
Really good.
Just because I was doing tournaments and I had no money, but I was like, okay, we'll do like a $50 gift card to whoever wins the tournament. And people would show up, and it was fun. And that was my first, you know, experience with social media. But then I had to retract because I got married and worked full time. There was not a lot of, hey, I'm going to go live for a few hours in my day. So I had to really pull back, and it's kind of interesting to think, imagine if I got down that route. Like, what if I was a League of Legends streamer?
Totally different
I would be
style.
so sad. But no, all jokes aside, I that was my first dive in, and then it wasn't until a little bit later that Vine started to become more popular, and I was like, oh, I can be a goof for 6 seconds at a time, and it's not a lot of effort, and I don't care who sees it. It's just going to be fun. I feel so that was like my second journey.
It's like two things you said there is really. One is like, like you were really focused, right? It was like call out rap battles for League of Legends players.
Yeah.
Right?
Just very niche stuff.
No, but like that's how like Ludwig was like Super Smash Brothers commentating. You know, like that's how it all
I feel
starts.
like a lot of people like just do this thing that they're super passionate about, and then it accidentally unfolds into something bigger, which is exciting.
Like, when you allude to your second career on Vine, like you had already been making content, you know? Like it's not like I think the story's like, oh yeah, Jimmy just like one day just like recorded. No, like you had been making content for a while, and all that that's unconscious. It's like a skill.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
Yeah, and it was a very natural one. And one thing is that before we move on is actually there's two people that also started on iFunny kind of with me, and we were like they weren't League creators, but we were like mutuals because there were a few like big accounts on there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know Weast and Eddie Burback.
Okay, first of all, Zach also works with Weast.
Yeah, and Weast and I have been friends for a while.
Yeah, and I've met Eddie Burback. His Rainforest Cafe. I went and visited 60 Rainforest Cafe videos. Yep. Yeah, no, I'm both.
We have all been, you know, in the know with each other since
from the iFunny days. See,
which is wild.
That's another great example. Who would have thought? Like I also watch Eddie's content, right? Like who would have thought Eddie started on iFunny?
Yeah, it's wild, and it's funny because it's like. I think when we like see each other, we're like, oh, we are like the ones that made it out of the
ones who
trenches.
survived, like real
we
knows
pulled
real.
ourselves out of like that disgusting meme, platform, and actually, made something of ourselves.
No, it's like, right, you always like, there's this trope in like anime or like fan, right? There's like, oh, the people who grew up on the right side of the tracks, and then there's like the like dumpster pit, and it's like the people who like crawled it out. Like I was part of iFunny. I've made it to the other side.
Yeah, it was a weird world we were in back then, because we were literally like, that was like a platform to grow on back then.
Yeah,
Like,
I've never heard of iFunny, and I consider myself pretty connected on this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you ever just have catch-ups with them and you're just like, yeah, like remember those days?
A lot of times, like if we're hanging out and we're talking long enough, someone will be like, "Hey, remember when we were on iFunny?" And we're like, "Bro,
like,
no."
It's the shared story.
You got to remember where you came from, though.
I love that.
It is what it is.
I first of all, like, can't believe like iFunny, if you're watching or listening to this, like you've made a difference. Maybe today it's not a thing anymore, but once upon a time, kind of amazing, right? Yeah. Second, I was gonna say, I feel like you were asking me this question too. What was a dream that you've let go of? So for me, I actually also wanted to make content.
Right.
To be a creator, right? I didn't even, but for me, it was so early, I didn't even know like the word creator, right? There's just a part of me, it was like, I want to speak, I want to entertain, Got it. Kind of yourself, you said you realized like, oh, hey, like I'm wearing my Pikachu hat. Like people find this funny. They're like laughing. They put it in a Facebook group. I remember in high school, started to do like a lot of debate and public speaking. And I had similar moments of like, oh, like people like listening to me and they're saying like, good job. Like, I felt that similar attention, that validation. I was like, oh, like I like this. Like, obviously I like it because people seem to like it, but I also just like it for its own sake. I enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could just not see how this could be a living like in any possible way, like whatsoever.
Right.
And I was really focused on checking all those boxes, right? I was pretty scared of like venturing outside of them. And so I think, a dream I let go of was just like in any way getting to like be in this world at all. And then I feel like now I'm getting to feel parts of it, right? Like in some ways, Carrot was me coming from that background in tech and finance.
Yeah.
Knowing and consuming massive amounts of content and following all these different creators and be like, oh, here's a way I can help. I can like basically do like their accounting, their taxes, their business part for them. And now like I do feel grateful, like as part of Carrot, like, hey, it's actually really important to what we do that like people are vaguely familiar with us in this space. Yeah. Like turns out the number one thing to what we do is actually trust, right? If no one's ever heard of you and a guy comes up and he's like, hey, you like want help with your taxes? You're like, no, screw off, right?
Right.
And it turns out what really helps with trust is like, actually, oh, we should make content. And then I like sort of backwards found like a business justification for what I've wanted to do all along. Like I love this, like just getting to even just talk with you about these things. I'm like listening to what you're, I'm like, this is so cool. And I get to like listen here and talk with you about it. And so I don't think, I think a dream I let go of was getting to do this sort of thing. And so I don't think I've let go of it. I think I've just found a different
kind of put
way.
it on the back burner.
Yeah, and a different way of like trying to get to it in one way or another.
Yeah, you found another way that worked really well for you, and now you're kind of like,
I'm trying. All right, let's do level 3. I think we're ready.
I think we're ready.
We got a lot. Okay, here's the level 3 for you, Jimmy.
Okay.
What answer of mine made you light up?
I think pretty much what you're just talking about, because in a lot of ways it's how I feel about the space that I'm in as well. So it's kind of like I see in you what you really wanted and how you kind of found another way there is for me the same thing, because when I was younger with my friends, we were making videos, I was watching YouTube way back when. I was wanting desperately to somehow feel like, okay, maybe I could be involved in that someday. Maybe I could meet these people someday that I watch all the time and look up to. And I know a lot of people get like a little bit jaded once they've seen everyone, been everywhere. But like for me, I can handle those situations a little less fanboy now, but it's still just like, I can kind of self-reflect and be like, wow, like I actually get to be in this room with these people, and I am a peer rather than a fan or something of that sort. And so that's really what I always strived for. And I think in a sense that you get to experience the same thing that you wanted. You get to talk to people. You get to help people and be in this space.
Get to be in this world.
Yeah, and I think that's really what I wanted a hell of a lot too. Growing up in school, I was always kind of like on the threshold of like almost popular kid, but definitely not. Like a little too weird and quirky and dorky to be a popular kid, but like, you know, you're climbing and you can almost see the other side, but not quite. So there was always that sense of wanting to belong. Not that I wanted to necessarily be popular,
but you wanted to feel the community.
I wanted to be validated for my sense of humor, or validated for my sense of friendship, or the ways that I helped people and stuff like that. I was never like, oh yeah, I want to go stand with the cool kids and like do what they do.
You wanted to be recognized and appreciated.
I wanted to be me, but also be kind of like looked up to, I think. I think that's what it always came down to, is I wanted to be validated and looked up to for the things that I saw as important to me in my life, like comedy and making people laugh and supporting people. I think that's really why back then and to this day, I really want to be the best that I can be, whether it's with my friends, with my family, or with the people that watch my content. I really just want to be looked at maybe as a beacon for the values and the things that I really want to promote, and to have that opportunity and to be in the space is still just genuinely exciting for me.
Do you feel that appreciation now?
Yeah, all the time.
You're just like yes, straight up. Yes.
I mean, yeah, like it's hard for me to like wake up in the situation that I'm in and not be reminded of like kind of the wild nature of what I'm doing and who I'm interfacing with on a daily basis. And, you know, sometimes I'll just like, it'll feel like this is normal, but then pretty consistently it's like, oh shoot, I'm doing this. Oh shoot, I'm hanging out with this person. And, you know, everyone's human, of course, but there's people that, you know, I even still look up to, that they might even look up to me and they don't even know I look up to them. Like it's that because we're mutual friends, we're peers, we hang out. It's no big thing, but secretly it is kind of a big thing.
You respect what they do.
Yeah, 100%. So I've still got that, like, I think what I would call like that childlike wonder of like, holy crap.
I mean, Jimmy,
like,
I feel that now even getting to talk with you. Yeah. And so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so that's why I was feeling like that. I was resonating with you on that because I've always been, I think, a little bit more, I've protected my childlike nature, I think, a lot. And I fostered it through cartoons and games and just being a goof. I really think that's an important part of who I am.
Precious, right? Because when you're a kid, you do things as you like to do them.
Yeah.
Before the rest of the world comes and said, you should do this or you should do that. I similarly try and hold on to that as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, growing up is important and there's things that you have to learn and have to do. But if you can kind of keep a lot of yourself as you were when you were a kid, just like the wonder and the kindness and lack of judgment, I think those are really valuable things to try to hold on to as much as you can while still being responsible.
I feel like you've articulated exactly why like 8-year-old me was terrified by like these kids next door characters, like just growing up and becoming the enemy.
Yeah, it's a lot of that.
It's like that intuitive sense of like, I want to hold on to this.
Yeah.
I'll say for me, actually very similar. When you talked about how we're like, you at one point you were just like, oh, like school, I don't know how I'm feeling about it. Like, is this social media thing? Like, is it going to work out? Like, is this like a thing?
Yeah.
I think I really felt connected with you there because like, yeah, like it is kind of wild. Like you found a way to like make a living as a creator and like that is really new. And I can only imagine like that. I bet that was really hard and scary, those really early days, to be like, can I do this? Like,
yeah. I mean, I still remember when I quit that job. It was terrifying because I was making as much from social media as I was from the job. So it was like, okay, technically I'm making like double.
Sure, like rationally.
Yeah, I was making like 2 times. And if I cut the job, then I was just making what I was making from the social media. And I was like, who the hell knows if I'm going to continue making that much or if it's going to go up.
Yeah.
But I took the leap and I'm glad I did. You know, there was some rocky terrain, of course, along the way. You know, with Vine going viral, I consider it like, you know, I was shot up to the top of a mountain and then had a kind of scary decline down for a little while. And then when I discovered the You Laugh, You Lose stuff and the other stuff I'm doing now, it's been a climb back up again. Nice. But I think that whole situation was really humbling because it was like, here, be thrust into everyone's, you know, you're in the spotlight.
And like,
now, like, I was like, what do I do with it? And I fumbled to find what worked for a long time and almost quit. And then found what worked again and found what really felt like me, which is, I think, the best part. You know, doing the Vine stuff, the skit stuff was fun. And it wasn't where I felt like I belonged, though. It was like acting is fun, but I like being me. And with the stuff that I do on my channel now, I can really just be me. And that's, I think, the best part, because I feel like I had to go through that self-discovery journey of like finding myself again after I've experienced a little bit of success and then working my way back up. It was kind of, I think, like a second come up story for me that I needed for myself, especially at that point in my life. So
I get it. I feel like there's a balance. So Jack Conte, the founder of Patreon, said this: the balance between what you want to do and what people want to see.
Yeah.
And trying to like find that overlap.
Yeah. And I think I found a pretty damn good medium. And there's a lot of stuff that I still want to try. You know, I've got stuff in the works that I've been planning with my team for a long time. We've got new stuff that we're going to be launching soon. And it's still very similar to what I feel like I need to do, what's great for me. And so fingers crossed for success there, but I'm still always finding my way. And I think that's one of the best parts about social media is like you have total creative freedom to kind of, you know what works and you know what you want to do, and finding that middle ground and finding success with it is very daunting, but it's also very exciting because you get to do what you want to do.
Let's do one more question. Level 3, you pick it out. We'll call it on this.
All right. This is level 3?
This is level 3.
Ooh, I like this one. What do you think my weakness is?
Ooh, okay.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Because you have to kind of call somebody out.
For sure. I think so. I feel I've learned so much about you beyond the one-liner. Oh, here's like Jimmy's here. Like you might know him for his meme, and like, oh, he's funny and he makes videos about being funny, right? I think the earnestness with which you've described this whole like theme throughout what we've talked about today. It's like, hey, remember when you're a kid to hold on to that really precious sense of just having fun and doing the things that you like to do throughout an educational system that might not appreciate you, through a working world that doesn't necessarily know how to support you in those talents, through navigating how to enter this world and then how to stay on top of it. This is a whole nother side of you that I did not know or appreciate about you. And so for me, that weakness, I want to hear more of that, this very serious, earnest, and thoughtful side of you. Because, you know, Jimmy, we haven't talked a ton before today. Right. And again, that's the whole point of why I want to do this, because I feel like I know you so much better now.
No, for sure.
But like, you know,
I got to pick up one of these packs.
I love it. Like we didn't like talk, we did like interact, right?
Yeah.
We've like had conversations, and I I never felt like you expressed this side of yourself. So I don't know if it's a weakness, but I think it's not something that you led with or gave me a sense that you've worked really hard and thoughtfully to get to where you are now and how you think about it, right? It was always more just like, yeah, like I make YouTube videos and like views. And I think I want to hear, and I bet others too, want to hear more of this side of yourself, right? Because I feel like I'm sensing this whole narrative arc for you as a person, right? Culminating now in you doing what you want to do. And one day mentoring and supporting those to be there the way that you didn't have someone there when you were coming up and recognizing that creativity. I'm like seeing this very powerful story.
Yeah, I think it's definitely hard to lead with that because
it is.
I don't think, and it's probably similar for a lot of creators. I'm sure some it's easier than others, but I think with any pursuit, there's struggle. And in my situation, I've been doing content at least since the Vine days, since 2016. Yeah. So over that period of time, it's definitely not been a cakewalk. And I know some people have seen at least a little bit in depth to not only what I've gone through on the content side of things with like the ebbs and flows of success and failures, but also the stuff that's been on the more personal side. That I don't share a lot with people. And
I feel honored to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something that I'm more than comfortable to talk about with anyone that might be wanting to listen, because there's a bit of depth to it, and there's a bit to learn from it. I learn from it still all the time. So honestly, the opportunity to get to express that story and my experiences is I love that. So I think I think like when in a normal setting, like at a convention or
it's harder
at a party, I think people might see like, oh, that's Jimmy. He had the meme, and now he's doing his you laugh, you lose.
Take a selfie together.
And I mean that's all fair game. But I think like most people, it's once you really get to sit down and talk and see like, oh, how did you actually get here? Like, what did it take? What did it cost, or what did you learn? I think those are things that are probably really seldom talked about with content creators, and I think it is really cool. Makes you wonder who else has some crazy story or
I'm just saying this is like really powerful unified theme for you, right? And I think just that's why you want to one day support and incubate others.
No, that's one of the biggest things for me. If I can help, even it goes back to me wanting to make people smile or laugh or whatever. If I can even help one person realize or actualize their dreams, like hell yeah. Like
I love it. Sweet. Well, all right, Jimmy, thanks so much for making time today.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It was great.
Give me a hug.
Hell yeah.